Hello and welcome to Brentwood Farm. It's a beautiful day over here in the UK and I've been out all day weeding and digging over. And the shrubs have put on tons of growth, so I thought I'd show you how to take some summer cuttings. So summer is a really good time to take cuttings. Your plants have had a couple of months already throughout the spring putting on loads of growth, and that means they've got lots of lovely stems ready to take. You've also got a few months before winter for those little roots to get going. And the other thing you've got to think about is your frost tender plants as well, that you might not actually normally put into pots, but they might not survive a really harsh winter. And if you take cuttings now, you'll have lots of little babies that you can put away in the greenhouse or your conservatory, and they'll be ready for next year if you lose those parent plants. Now today we're going to be taking semi-ripe cuttings. So we're not taking the woody bit at the bottom of the stem, which would take, but it takes quite a long time to actually form roots. So it's better to take a semi-root one. And you don't want to do the little straggly bit at the top because that's got so much sap in it that it will just transpire and dry out so quickly it won't have a chance to actually get any roots. So we're going to take semi-ripe cuttings, which is that middle stem where it's nice and sturdy, it's got leaves, but it's still flexible enough and new enough to create those roots. Now at this time of the year there are tons of shrubs you can actually take cuttings from. So there's sort of things like forsythia, elderberry, salvias. I've even been taking cuttings from my cuttings of lavenders that I'm trying to propagate tons of for the farm. But today I'm actually going to take some penstemon, because penstemon are beautiful plants that I really want to fill my garden with, but they can also be a little bit tender, so having some backups for next year is a good idea. Now the plan this year was to actually put penstemons all along this side border, but as you can see, or as you can't see, there doesn't look to be any, and that's because this 2-year-old Nicotiana has been fabulous, but it has shaded out a lot of other stuff. I've just propped it up. The salvia has also taken over a little bit, but there are some penstemons in here, and the one that's flowering at the moment is here. Isn't that lovely? Now I don't know the variety because these are cuttings, these are a year-old cuttings that I took from my friend's garden, and this is the second flush of flowers on this particular plant of these deep purple with this white inside, which I just think is tremendous. And what I'll do is I will then cut it off down here where you can see these 2 extra little leaves coming out, and that will send out 2 more shoots. Now, though they probably look a bit more light than this, and this is why they've gone lanky, in terms of cuttings, actually being shaded has been positive for me, because what has happened, as you can see with this plant here, is I've got lots of long growth with no flowers on the top, but it's extremely strong growth. So it's perfect cutting material. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, you can see it's flopping, and I want to make a sturdier plant. So I'm going to take this back right down to probably here, and I'm going to cut just above the node, above the leaf joint, and what that means, it will send out some new little shoots from just above this leaf joint, and that will turn into more flowering stems, and then I can use all of this as cutting material. You can see there's another one here in a similar position. Again, it got shaded out, and it's got this really strong growth with these side shoots which will develop into flowering stems if I left them. But I'm going to cut it down a few inches. I'll probably take this whole top off and turn that into a cutting as well. So I'm going to gather some cuttings and we'll go inside and start making babies. So the process of actually cutting up and getting your nice shrubby cuttings ready to root is very easy, especially with penstemon, because they are super easy to root, and actually it will only be a few weeks before these turn into strong little plants. Now my potting mixture is a peat-free multi-purpose compost, which I've just added a bit of vermiculite into for good drainage, and you don't want to stamp it down as you would when you're packing seeds in, because you want this to be a light mixture. Just firmly pat it down, and you want the roots to be able to get through, and you want the water to be able to drain away so they don't sit in the soil and rot. The other thing you'll need is a rooting powder. This was cheap as $1.99, as you can see. So it doesn't cost the earth. And again, you're making all these plants for free. So the first thing you want to do, select one of your stems. And you want to take a cut just above a leaf node, like that. A couple of inches long. Now I've got, now I'm going to push this into the soil, and I don't want these leaves to rot, obviously, so they need to come off. So we'll take these off. That's good. That's a perfect cutting that we have there. And the other thing is, this plant is still alive. So actually, when you're taking cuttings, you're racing against time. So this is going to keep transpiring. So you want it to root and start drawing up nutrients and water before the top dies. And for that reason, you want to take off some of the leaves. So you want to halve these leaves if you can. Just reduce the amount of leaf there is, because that will keep it alive. It will allow it to keep producing energy, but it won't transpire as much. So there we have our perfect semi-ripe cutting. Dip it in the rooting hormone, get as much as we can on. You want to round the base, but also up the stem as well, to encourage some rooting from the stem. And then if you've got a dipper, use a dipper. I found it this time, it's amazing. Or you can just use a pencil like I normally do. And then you want to go around the edge of the pot. In we go. And that is how easy it is. So I'm going to do the rest of them, fill this pot up. You can take several cuttings from one stem. So from this stem I'll probably take 2. Oh. Try not to throw them around too much. Again, another perfect cutting. So, all done. Now what you want to do is you want to give them a mist, or you want to put them in with a plastic bag or in a propagator, so that they can stay relatively moist but not get so wet that it creates mold. If mold does occur, take it out immediately. Any leaves that get moldy or start to die, take them off. And then when these do start to grow, and if they start to produce flowers, because that's their natural purpose from where we've taken them at the end of flowering stems, take those flowers off, so cut them off. So there we go. The potential of 12 free Penstemon plants for what, 10 minutes work? It really is that easy. It's really cost effective. You've got lots of new plants, and then if I do lose those first year cuttings outside over the winter, I've got these as a backup. I'm going to put these in my grow room because I find that those grow lights don't actually burn off the moisture as quickly, and it's inside, so I can take a look at them regularly and mist them. But if you haven't got a grow room, you can use a greenhouse or a cold frame. Just keep them moist. Don't keep them too wet. Just keep them moist, mist them, and take off any mold, and you'll soon see, especially with Penstemon, they will soon start to strike, and you'll have new baby plants. If you've liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends. Head over to the Facebook group, Brynwood Farms Community Group, so you can share all your growing with us all, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.